Guys, this episode is about Genghis Khan, aka Chinggis Khan, and it is wild. A lot of things that you thought you knew about him, you really didn't, and we unveiled the secret history of Chinggis Khan.
Yeah, and everything we say in this episode is verifiable. There is a bug named Chiggers.
Yes, there is,
Yes.
and he was called Chinggis Khan, and this episode is nuts, and I want you to go to chrisdcomedy.com if you'd like to come see me. I will be in Washington, D.C. at the Warner Theater May 29th, Durham, North Carolina, May 30th at the Carolina Theater, and May 31st, Charleston, South Carolina, Charleston Music Hall. That is my tour down south. chrisdcomedy.com for Tiki Wikis. Everybody in the front row getting kissed on the lips.
Yeah, the only thing on my tour schedule before I load up is Bozeman, Montana at the Emerson Center for the Arts, November 22nd. So that's a little while away, but the schedule will fill up. The special's coming out soon. We don't know where, so I got to be quiet about it.
And everything that is cackled out on this episode you're about to hear about Genghis Khan can be heard at patreon.com/historyhyenas, where the real fun happens. Enjoy Chinggis.
What's up, everybody? My name is Yannis Pappas. I'm sitting here with Johnny Neutron, otherwise known as Chris Distefano. Today, we're going to be talking about a very important Eastern Hemi. If you look at your DNA, there's a good chance you got some of his DNA because the kid liked to spread the seed. A little guy I like to call with the nuke. Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan, also known as Chinggis Khan, is what he's known as in Mongolia. That is a Wei Shang, but that is also
true.
That's a Truth Bader Ginsburg. He's Chinggis Khan. Chinggis the.
Live 14.
Just kidding. He's
It's for the Patreon.
Patreon.com/historyhyenas to hear what Giannis just said. And our
Chrissy's joke.
Our Patreon.com/historyhyenas is where the community is. It's where the fun is. And it's where we can say things like Chinggis the.
Live 14.
So this is a very interesting character. This is the story of East meets West, and unfortunately that was done through bloodshed, through a little bit of graping.
It's unfortunately, here's the thing, as you've taken this journey with us, week after week, month after month, we've been back for about 6 months now, and delving back into history has been amazing, fun, and what you realize is every part of history, unfortunately, these guys would get their empires, and then women would just get raped. And I don't like it, of course, but it's just something that needs to be said. It's just there's no way to make wine without little grapes.
You need It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate reality of history that happens when guys take lands, like when Genghis Khan had all of the Mongols.
Can we call him Chinggis Khan?
We can call him Chinggis Khan.
Because that is actually, if you go to Mongolia, Mongolian people, they call him Chinggis Khan.
Yeah. Well, his best friend at some point was named Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
So I was like, how did this black guy get in the story?
Yeah, we're going to get it to him.
We'll get it to him in a second.
The story gets wild because the thing is with the Mongolians and Chinggis Khan is you think that they were barbarians. You think that they were these.
If I could do this the whole time when you called him Chinggis Khan.
I mean, his name's Chinggis Khan. That's literally, I know it's funny, but I'm actually saying historically accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chinggis Khan.
Okay.
And so it's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so what happened is with the Mongolians is you think that they were barbarians and ruthless and whatever, but they actually are very similar to the Vikings. They had a very sophisticated society, very hierarchical society, and it's just because the Mongolian land is interesting. They were all nomads. They didn't have actual palaces and structures. They were mobile. They were always moving.
They were tribes. Yeah, tribes of nomads.
There were nomads.
They moved like animals with the land, with the seasons.
Yes.
They were like that. And so the Chinese were living on the other side of a great, big, beautiful wall. And they considered them just barbarians.
Because the Mongolians are the only people that we've discovered in history that move more than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
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 Who knows what kind of relationship these guys were in that they had to keep moving.
They had to keep going.
But these guys could just be seen many a day on horseback with garbage bags.
yeah, it's just what it is.
Yeah, sleeping in their horses.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just who they were. They were
Yep.
Chrissy D back then. They just had situations with the mother.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Mongolians, or as I like to call them, 13th century Puerto Ricans. You know what it is.
Yeah, they moved around a lot.
Now, here's a fun fact about Genghis Khan, aka Genghis Khan, is he ruled more territory than eventually in his life than any other ruler in history.
Yeah.
So he ruled from, I think it was something like the Pacific Ocean
Yeah.
all the way through to Eastern China.
'Cause-
He wound up ruling.
He conquered more land in 25 years than the Romans did in 400 years.
Wild.
Yeah, but part of me goes like, what was the opposition? Who was he fighting?
Yeah.
Okay, was this sort of like the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Generals? Like, what was the opposition? But I think it was pretty fierce because he conquered his other tribes too, and they were all wild. They would raid the Chinese constantly. They would come and raid the Chinese. They would marauder the Chinese, and that's why the Chinese built a great, big, beautiful wall and started asking for papers and weren't given habeas corpus because they wanted the Mongols out
of there.
They were stealing jobs. They were working on roofs.
Yes.
They were doing things. They were selling Chico sticks.
Yep.
They were down there in the train station selling pineapples.
Yeah, the Mongols are running around with LA Dodgers jerseys.
Yeah.
People with bow and arrow backwards on horseback.
And they said, no more, I can't say MS-13 in shapes because Chinese letters are just shapes.
They're just shapes.
So whatever it is was the MS-13 of the day was maybe a little house with like a doggy bone.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of clouds.
Yeah.
It was tattooed on their fist. Doggy bone, cloud, Chinese sandals.
Yeah.
And then an ox.
Yeah.
Which equals MS-13 of the day.
Yeah, it's just what it is, and it needs to just be said. It needs to just be said that they all did look alike, and it was very difficult for them to find out who was who, how were they fighting each other, how were they doing this or that, because they do, and it's just a statement, even when watching the documentaries, all the actors kind of look alike. That's why I was always confused anytime a Chinese criminal died and you needed to get access to his phone, and they said, we can't get his phone. I said, just put that phone up and you'll get right in. Does Apple technology know how to differentiate?
Maybe
Put that on Patreon.
Yeah, that may be one of the big differences between Samsung and Apple.
Yeah.
Because Samsung was made by Eastern Hemis, so maybe that's more, they could tell the difference
So
more.
Samsung was like, we can't use facial recognition technology. It doesn't work for us.
No, but maybe they can tell the difference.
Got it.
I
Okay.
remember Ali Wong told me she went to Greece once. She said, I just saw a bunch of Yannis's. So to her,
Right.
all the Greeks look like me. And part of me wanted to go like, is it this to the same extent though?
Right.
Because when you look at Greeks, some of us got bigger eyebrows, some of us got a little different hair, different noses. I mean, Chinese, it just they all.
That's on the Patreon. So, okay. So here's the thing. Here's the things about Genghis Khan. First of all, I
think we've established that he's Asian.
He's Asian.
I think in many ways we've established that the kid was Asian.
His name is Genghis Khan. His original name, though, was Temujin.
Whoa.
That was his original name.
He was Armenian?
He was Armenian because his original name was Temujin, and then eventually, I think it's around 1206 is a significant year. I think that's when they give him the title of Genghis Khan. A lot happens. We'll get to that. But the kid basically, he got betrothed to his would-be wife one day. Her name was Borte. He got betrothed at 9 years old.
Now, are you just doing what the elites do and using a fancy word, betrothed? I mean, what does betrothed mean? I don't even know what betrothed means. Do you know what betrothed means? What does it mean?
Wedded, right?
Yeah, wedded. Betrothed.
So can't you just say he married her?
I could. Well, he didn't marry her then because a betrothed is like a future wedding.
Oh.
A betrothed is saying you're 9 years old, she's 10 years old when you guys are of age.
They're both of age.
Yes,
Yeah. It's both of age. Yeah.
So we're going to take you two to Epstein's Island and you're going to bang out. So what eventually you will be married to her. And so they took him, because what it was back in those days, as a father would take his son, so Genghis Khan's father, whose name was Yasugi, Yasegwe or something like that, he would take his son around all the different steppes, the different parts of Mongolian Empire, we'll call it steppes.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This whole thing happened on the neutrals.
Yeah, on the neutrals.
Yeah, this part of history happened on the steppes.
The neutrals, aka
Same
the
place
steppes.
where Eileen cracks a brew.
That's a 10.
And decides family law.
Yeah. It's what it is.
Yeah.
So he took her, he would take him around to different villages and try to find a wife for him. Basically try to find someone that his son's going to bang out to keep the legacy going. So he finds this woman, Borte, and her father, and it's very nice and they're happy. And what he does is, what was customary back then, is you would just leave your 9-year-old son with this 9-year-old girl, and they're not going to bang out, but they're just going to get to know each other for a few months while this guy travels back to his village. But when he was traveling back, he got stopped by a rival clan, and back in those days, a rival clan just wouldn't kill you. Right. They would invite you in, feed you, and they would kind of just talk to you, try to pick your brain a little bit, and then let you go. But these scumbags poisoned and killed Yasuge.
Well, do you know why that happened?
Tell me.
Well, because a previous time that he went to that clan, his father was a local chieftain.
Yeah.
And he went to that clan, and he was selling DVDs.
It's what it is.
And so what happened was, they got one of the DVDs, and it was supposed to be a DVD of Titanic.
Yeah.
And it was filmed, and it was shaky.
Yeah.
It was filmed in the theater, and it was shaky, and they were upset about that because they charged him full price for a locked-off shot.
Yeah.
So they were a little pissed, so they poisoned him. It was a little revenge for a bad DVD.
Yeah, and what it was customary at the time, because he was a chieftain, they allowed him to be buried with his stick in 2 garbage bags.
That was the problem. Yeah.
They threw it on.
Yeah. And that was the most impressive thing about this, was because the guys would ride on horseback, but they would have bags of cans, so you could hear them coming.
Yeah, so that's
they were able to carry cans like this with a stick on a horse. That's a fucking 10.
Yeah, that's how it's just what it is. So
yeah, this is interesting.
Okay, so, and you got to think about, just let me set, he's a kid right now, but Genghis Khan is going to go on to become, he's kind of like to the Mongolian people, he eventually becomes like a mix of Napoleon and Jesus.
Whoa.
Like he's a spiritual religious figure, but he's also a warlord like Napoleon.
Yeah.
So the kid is just going to go on to become, if you were a Mongolian at that time, you literally think that you're living in heaven.
Right. Sort of like Muhammad was like that.
Exactly.
Historically, the books say it.
Yes.
I'm not making a judgment. I'm just saying he was also a military leader and a conqueror.
Yeah. So the kid's father, Genghis Khan's father, dies, right? So now it's just Genghis Khan, his brother, and then he's got a half brother.
He's got two of those.
Two stepbrothers, and Genghis Khan's mother.
Yeah.
Okay. So Genghis Khan's mother, very, very tough lady.
Yeah.
The society back then, Mongolian society, even though they would grape women all day, the women had the mothers and wives had the ear of the chieftains and the leaders. They would consult with them for advice. They weren't just like, cook my dinner, bitch. They were more like, tell me what to do.
And this is eventually what led to the downfall of Mongols, is they let the women talk too much.
It's just what it is. 14. So what happens is the mother is taking them through the plain, through the steppes. They are nomads. They don't have you have to understand, Genghis Khan was he was like a king with his father, like in their little area. He was royalty, and now the kid goes to just being poor.
Right.
He's a pauper, got nothing. They have no wealth. They have nothing to trade. So the mom has to take them on the steppes, just with their tents out, and then they have to hunt for their food, pick berries, all that stuff.
Because their tribe just abandoned them.
Completely abandoned them, because now they have no dad and they're done.
Yeah.
So this is where Genghis Khan really starts to become this, kind of grizzled guy that's just strong and tough and can do anything, because the kid's just protecting his mother.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Italian in him because he's just protecting his mother.
Yeah.
At all times, he loves his mother.
Yeah.
So what happens is one of these stepbrothers is kind of like just being a little bit of a dick. He's a little older, and he's a little bit of just like pushing Genghis Khan and his brother around a little bit, being kind of an asshole. They steal a fish. They have a fish. Genghis Khan went and got a fish for his mother. And then this older stepbrother takes the fish. So what they do is he's sitting on a rock, the stepbrother's sitting on a rock eating the fish. Now they're only 12 years old. And Genghis Khan goes behind him with a bow and arrow, and the other brother goes in front of him with the bow and arrow, and they just tattoo this kid with 2 arrows from the front and the back, which is very cowardly for Mongolian society, because he just put 2 arrows right in the back of the kid. But the mother flips out. She's so mad at Genghis Khan. She's so upset because she's like, I can't believe, even though it's not her kid, she's like, you killed this kid. That's awful. That was your father's son. Because back in those days, they would just allow, this kid was from Genghis Khan's father, Yasuge. That was just his secondary wife.
Yeah.
So he had a main wife.
Yeah.
Who had Genghis Khan, and then he just had his secondary wife, which was allowed. We call that what?
Yeah.
A gumare.
Yeah, or in Asia, they call it a gumale.
Yeah, gumale.
A gumale.
A gumale.
It was a gumale.
So they were allowed to have gumales, and there's a little bit, you know, I'm getting married in here, and there's a little bit of what I'd like to just introduce, a little bit of Mongolian society into the marriage.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah. Also, there was rumors that the kid was hoarding food and hiding it from the rest
The
of the
stepbrother
family.
was.
Yeah,
So you're going to get 2 hours in the back for that.
yeah, you're gonna get 2 hours in the back if you're not giving my mother her food. If you mistreating ma.
Yeah.
And so that's what he did. He took that kid out.
He took that kid out.
Stepbrother got one in the back of the head.
But the mother, her name was Holin. Holin was the mother. She
was a hole.
She was Holin. Holin.
Holin.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That was her name. So she said later on, she was like, because here's another interesting thing. A lot of the histories that we have of the Mongolians today, it was only discovered from this secret history that was written by the Mongolians like 200 years later.
Yeah.
So there's not actually, these people didn't really take notes.
No, they didn't take
on their
notes.
life.
No, they were riffers. They winged it like we do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They were chat GPT'd it.
They were chat GPT'd it. They didn't really have notes.
So, but what the mother said was, though, is that she said that even though that was wrong, she knew there was something different about my little Chinggis.
Yeah.
She knew that little Chinggis was really, you know, because a lot of the Chinggises at that time, you know, have no souls, but he really had no soul.
Yeah. He was also born with, like, supposedly, according to the secret history of the Mongols, he was born with, like, a blood clot on his hand or whatever, and they thought that was a good omen, that he was going to be somebody. He's going to grow up to be somebody. But thank God this kid didn't grow up in a black or Italian neighborhood, or else he would have been teased every day, because his mom's name was literally Ho-Lun.
Ho-Lun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would just be, your mom. Where's your mom? Is the Ho coming to pick you up?
Yeah.
That'd be tough to have your mom named Ho.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Yo,
That's
hold
tough.
on a minute.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
So the kid kills his brother, and then
He was only 12. He got his first body.
he got his first body, which is nice. Those
Yeah.
are nice numbers. That's like Chicago gang numbers.
Yeah, that is
That's
good.
nice.
And also, he let people know right there and then, you don't fuck with Genghis Khan.
Don't mess with Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
Don't mess with Genghis
Yeah,
Khan.
he's set the groundwork like, I'm the guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then what happens is he then, you know, they go on, they kill this kid. Maybe they ate him. I honestly don't know. They kill the kid. They're still on the steps. They're looking for a place to settle. And Genghis Khan is getting older. He's like 15, 16. They get raided by because Mongolian was just all warring clans.
Yeah.
Today it's a unified Mongolia. Back then it wasn't. It was just all warring clans. It was just groups of different types of Chinggises.
Yeah.
Running around.
Yeah.
So
They go chingleberries.
yeah, exactly. So he then gets captured by one of them, by this, you know, fierce leader. But again, they see something tenacious in him, and they don't want to kill this kid.
Yeah, so he gets captured actually by the clan that left his mom. They hear about this kid. They hear that he's rising up, and they go and they're like, let's go capture him. So he gets captured by them.
He gets captured by the people that eventually gave up on him.
Yes.
You're saying, right?
Yes. So the people, so that his own people,
Right.
go and capture him. The ones that left his mom, 'cause
Right.
his dad died, and they capture him and they put him in a fucking wood vice.
It was called a Kong.
Yeah.
A Congue. It was called a Kong. They put him to humiliate him. This is what they would do to prisoners back then. They wouldn't kill you or beat you or make you a slave. They would just put you in this piece where your arms are out like this and you can't move the head. And then it just predates just cans at the end of that. Yeah. I mean, 'cause they just got the pole like that.
Maybe that's where they got the strength.
Yeah, that's the strength. And then if they just throw a bunch of cans in, then the kid's got about $20.
Yeah.
So they have him in this contraption.
Yeah.
And the leaders are just making fun of him. They're just abusing him besides one guy. There's one guy's name is Sorkin Shira, and he's a guy who he just liked this kid, Genghis Khan. He just was like, you know, I see something tenacious in this kid, even though he's one of the elites. He's one of the, you know, he's like, and he's supposed to be making fun of him and abusing him. He doesn't. He kind of helps him. He gives him soup, and he, you know, really is kind to him. And that's going to come back big later on, because make no mistake, Genghis Khan is taking names.
Yes.
Okay? So if you crossed him, he was going to kill you big.
He was big on loyalty.
Big on loyalty. And it's funny, the way that they would kill you back then, a lot of time there was a lot of pride in it. they wouldn't, if you get killed in battle with bow and arrow or sword, it's what it is. But if you were like the top chieftain or whatever and you were still alive.
Did you get boiled?
Well, they would boil you, but only after they decapitated you. So that was nice of them.
That was nice.
They would cut the head off and then just put the body in there.
Yeah, they just treated you like a chicken on a holiday.
It's just nice of them.
It's just what they did.
So Mongolian barbecue is very good.
Yeah, it's very good.
So, but what they would do is they would take their best wrestler, like Genghis Kahn could wrestle, his brother could wrestle. These kids were wrestlers, and what they would do, they had a nice little move. They would get you in some kind of nice wrestling move, and they would break your back.
Ooh.
That's how they would kill you. They knew how to snap the spine, and they were big on lifting you up and snapping your spine over a rock or a knee. It's just what it is.
These guys had farm boy strength. They were living out there in the wilderness. This was a different type of strength.
Yeah, they were different. They would,
and it's funny because they were all squeaks.
Absolute squeaks.
They were squeaks, but they were like little muscles.
Yeah, and actually in war, if they found you, if you were still alive, and they would measure your body up, and if you were taller than the axle rod of like the cart that they had, they would kill you because they only wanted squeaks. They only wanted people who were shorter in stature, or they only wanted, if you were smaller than that, you were probably a kid and they could raise you. So if you were too tall from the other team, they would just kill you.
Yeah, because their whole society was based on horseback. They started teaching these kids how to ride horses from 2 years old. So they basically wanted you to be the size of a jockey. So these were just like strong little jockeys rolling up on you. They were little squeaks. They were getting invaded by squeaks.
Little squeaks, little mosquitoes where you just like get these fuckers off me.
Yeah.
And what they were and you've probably read about this, they were so amazing at horseback riding and shooting arrows. They had the ability, because they were given horses at 2 years old, they had the ability to ride this horse as fast as it could, 30, 40 miles an hour, take their hands completely off the saddle and just hit you with arrows and turn their body all the way around. And as they're riding away, they would be shooting arrows back at the enemy. So there was no way for the enemy to hit them. They could only hit the enemy, and it was nice.
Yeah, it's real nice. It's real nice. They were masters of horseback, much like Attila the Hun.
Yeah.
These guys were on horseback. They grew up on horseback. That was just part of their lives. They were able to move quick because of horseback. A lot of time, their cavalry was light, too. They did everything by tens. 10, groups of 10, groups of 100, groups of 1,000.
Yeah.
And they would sneak attack you, cuz. They were sneaky
little deakies. And they were amazing. They were just absolutely the most fierce warriors of the day. And they had another thing that they like to do was called the feigned retreat. Ooh. So what they would do with the feigned retreat is they would make believe. They were like, I'm not so scared.
Yeah.
You beat me.
Yeah.
I saw it. And they're riding away. And they want to draw out the noblemen. They want to draw out all the soldiers to come chase, because you're thinking, oh, you see that, Genghis Khan? You thought you could mess with us? We scared you away. And then as we're going away, they already had a predetermined spot that they would stop, turn around, and then they had all other soldiers coming, and they would basically put you in a death pit.
Wow.
And they would kill you. So they made believe that they were running away when in fact it was all set up, because they're sneaky. Genghis was sneaky.
Yeah, they would draw you out and then turn around and fire on you.
Now, here's a big part of Genghis Khan and all that is he eventually...
When did they release the bats?
Yeah. That...
Way some shit.
They released the bats about 2019. So I want to talk to you guys, because a big part of Genghis Khan's life is one of his best friends, Jamuka, who was a blood brother of his, they are basically best friends forever. And then Jamuka turns on Genghis Khan. He's a real piece of shit, and he winds up being one of his enemies. And we're going to tell you about that right after the break.
And that is exactly the moment in history where Chinese and Japanese people and Asian people fell in love with black culture. This relationship right here with his black friend.
Yeah.
Jamuchi.
Right after the break.
Chrissy, mental health is very, very important.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of your roof. If it's got a leak, call a roofer.
Call a roofer, because we want you to stay on the beam, and we think one of the best ways to stay on the beam is TalkSpace. TalkSpace is the leading provider of online therapy, aka roofing service, and it helps you face whatever is holding you back with a caring, licensed therapist.
It's easy to get started. You can sign up online, get paired with a licensed provider, typically within 48 hours. You can take your appointment from the comfort and privacy of your home and exchange text, voice, or video message with your therapist too.
That's what I like. Take care of yourself this month and every month with TalkSpace. TalkSpace is an in-network with most major insurance plans, but if you pay out of pocket, as a listener of this podcast, you're going to get $80 off your first month. $80 off your first month. That's a nice discount with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/hyenas. That's HYENAS and enter promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/hyenas and enter promo code SPACE80. Get 80 bones off.
Yes.
Guys, even though we know there's a very limited amount of black people listening to this podcast, we do want to talk to you about Cash App. So, Cash App, it's a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends.
I think we got probably more than you know.
We do. So then this is...
The Namins love us.
Our black fans probably... Here's the thing. Probably if you're in the black community, which is a great community, is you're using Cash App.
Using Cash App.
Use Cash App, and listen,
it's got a great name, Cash App.
It's got a great name, Cash App. And I like Cash App, and here's the thing. There's no waiting on Cash App. Did your money show up right away? No. You don't wait around for days. It's your money. You shouldn't have to wait. That's why Cash App saved you by letting you send the money fast. They send it fast. If you're about to send money to a sketchy account, scam warning pops up. They will tell you, hey, this is a scam, baby. So they let you know. They're doing the work for you. They're watching your back, and you feel way more relaxed knowing Cash App has your back.
Yeah, talk about how you customize your payment to your friends. Oh, that's an instruction to us. Oh, yeah, so that's what you do. You customize your payment to your friends. You say, hey, this was for pizza money.
It's what it is, guys. Now, for a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App, use our code Hyenas. When you sign up, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you're going to get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
I mean, the kid's just got a black name.
Jamuka's got a black name.
I mean, that's not an Asian name. Jamuka?
Jamuka, yeah.
Yeah, that's a black dude.
Now, who Jamuka is he is basically a friend from another noble family. So he grew up kind of like Genghis Kahn, but he didn't grow up as... Genghis Khan grew up nice.
Well, first he grew up nice, and then he became just like a fucking peasant when his dad died.
Yeah, well, Genghis Khan did.
Yeah, Genghis.
But I'm saying he still was... There's still levels of the hierarchy and the rulers in Mongolian society. And Jamuka was... Yes, he was considered elite, but he was low-level elite. He was kind of like a bullshit elite. It was kind of like... It's kind of like... You know, like... You kind of have to make believe like it's a big deal, and you actually care when
like European royalty now.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter.
Like the Prince of Norway or something.
Yeah, or it's like, you know, when people stop with the fucking comparison. Okay, maybe we should just edit that one out.
Maybe just cackle that whole part.
Yeah.
Leave it on the Patreon.
Yeah, leave it on the Patreon.
It's just a joke. We're just having a good time.
It was just a joke.
That's what Schmitty said.
That's what Schmitty said.
Schmitty hates. He takes the problem with Schmitty is he takes his rivalry with the Celtics and the Patriots too far.
Sorry.
Too far. Yeah. So he told us the he said compared to the big thing in the city, but really he was just talking about the New York Knicks.
I didn't mean nothing by it. Yeah. I was just watching the documentary.
It's an analogy for the Knicks versus Celtics.
That's all it was, and I apologize to anyone who got.
I tried to belittle your soul struggle.
I didn't mean that nothing by that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just got to play pretend a lot in life, and you know.
That fucking kid Schmitty, I tell you, he's fucking wild.
He's crazy. Yeah, and I apologize. Yeah. You know, Schmitty, I do apologize, but maybe there's a better example out there, but I just couldn't really think of one. You know, you might be, I don't know, like what's something now like we got to make believe we care about, but we really know.
Yeah.
Like you know, like people with peanut allergies. Yeah. It's like you really don't have a peanut allergy. Yeah. You're just a fucking narcissist. You're just a kid that you got to make everything about you. You really don't have a peanut allergy. You show me a kid with a peanut allergy, I'll show you the parents being a fucking the most annoying people you ever meet in your life.
That's right.
And nobody's got a peanut allergy. It comes from a normal family. Yeah. There's all some because they don't exist. And you're not allergic to peanuts.
No, and they never tell you what the real reason why peanut allergies is. No. Let me look. I want to see that kid's vaccine record.
Yeah.
What kind of vaccines did he get?
I'll tell you who doesn't have peanut allergies is the Chinese kids. These Mongolian kids, no peanut allergies.
No vaccines.
You don't see any peanut allergies.
Yeah.
And because you know what it is? You know what it is? You know what the precursor is to have a peanut allergy? You know what you got to have? Number one?
What?
A heart.
You got to have a heart.
Yeah.
You got to have a heart. You got to ask why, and you got to have a heart.
You got to have a heart.
Yeah. And
yeah,
and we're just talking about these Mongolian kids.
Yeah,
and look, they would fucking attack you like chiggers. No, I'm talking about the bugs. There's a bug named chiggers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What are you guys freaking out about?
I don't know.
You never heard of chiggers? They're an actual bug called chiggers.
Oh, okay.
They're in the Midwest.
All right.
Yeah, I don't. That name is there.
Okay.
Okay, they're called chiggers.
I didn't hear 'em.
You never heard of
Okay.
chiggers? Jesse, you know chiggers.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just the name
Okay.
of a bug.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So,
So yeah. So we're
Okay, yeah.
that was
Oh, that was Schmitty, that was Patrick Mulrooney.
Patrick
Sorry
Mulrooney.
about that.
I don't remember which one's which.
yeah.
He's a character piece.
So, okay. So let's talk about Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
Do you know about him?
Jamiroquai?
Jamiroquai?
Yeah. So he was his friend.
Yeah, he's his fan. So
They were good friends. They ended up sleeping. They started sleeping in the same room together. People
Yeah.
started saying rumors. These kids were fucking banging again.
It's just what it
look,
is.
These things repeat themselves. Alexander the Great, great conqueror. Genghis Khan, great conqueror. What do they have in common? Fucking, they love cornholes.
Yes.
They love buttholes. They love guys. They
Guys.
have male love in their life.
yummy in my tummy.
Yeah.
So what happened though is Jamiroquai, he's a little cocky, a little arrogant. Genghis Khan, so you think in history, because the way he was portrayed in Night at the Museum, you think, which is where I get all my history information from, is Night at the Museum with Ben Stiller. You think that he was couldn't even speak, and he was a Mongolian acting like a Mongol.
Yeah.
But none of this was true. He's very sophisticated, actually more intelligent than you thought. Again, sophisticated society. He was more humble. He was more respectful of the Mongolian spirituality and all that. Where this kid Jamuka was very arrogant, kind of like a rich kid who was given everything and was just really annoying and started pissing people off. But then what he started to do is he started to rise up in the ranks. And even though they were BFFs, when you start to rise up, you start to say, you know what? Maybe I should be the head. Yeah. I should be the head of all this. And then him and Genghis Khan go from friends to rivals because the Jamuka kid, see, Genghis Khan had respect. When he would kill someone in battle, the Jamuka kid, no respect. Right. He would boil people alive. He would torture them. He would do all these things. He would kill the nobility. So the guys who were fighting for Jamiroquai kind of said, you know what? I don't like this. I think I'm going to go to Genghis Khan's side. And here's one thing Genghis Khan valued above anything else is loyalty. So there was actually a story of Jamiroquai going on the run. And, he had to escape somewhere, and he got turned in to Genghis Khan by his own guys, and they brought him to Genghis Khan saying, look, we got your rival here. And Genghis Khan turned around and killed the guys who brought Jamiroquai and left Jamiroquai alive because he's like, loyalty's number one, and these guys ain't loyal.
Yeah, the thing about Genghis Khan is he was brilliant. He was pragmatic. He was brilliant. He was a master of psychological warfare. He constantly would make it seem that his numbers were bigger than they were with big fires, dummies, drums. But he did stuff like this too, where you make people respect you by doing that. You go, look, and you also make them scared, going like, I am so big on loyalty, even though these guys thought they were doing a good thing by bringing this guy to me. I'm going to assassinate those guys for being disloyal to him.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Genghis Khan is
smart.
He's a smart kid. He was in a battle. A random battle. Genghis Khan only lost 2 battles his whole life. One of these ones,
that's when I heard that it was really nice for me because Alexander the Great is still the undefeated GOAT. Floyd Mayweather of conquerors will give this guy what? He's probably who? Roy Jones Jr. lost twice.
Yeah.
Right? So there you go. This is the Roy Jones Jr. of conquerors, but Alexander the Great Greek, is still fucking the best boxer of all time.
Yes, and it actually makes sense because Roy Jones Jr.'s son's name is Jamiroquai.
So there you have it.
What it is.
It makes sense.
Jones.
Yeah.
So, but he basically Genghis Khan had a very beloved horse, and the horse gets shot out by an arrow in the middle of the battle.
Exactly. On the internet.
Yes, and that could be seen at patreon.com/history of Hyenas. So he. By the way, we got to go on a little tour of Europe next year. We got to go on a Hyenas tour of Europe.
I want to do it bad.
Yeah,
I want to prance with you.
Yeah, because basically what happened, and we'll get right back into Mongolian history. But basically what happened is last week I bought Yannis for his birthday, which is in 5 months. I bought us 2 tickets to go on a Dutch colonial walking tour of downtown New York. And then Yannis told me at the last minute he couldn't make it. So I went with Jasmine. And Jasmine asked a question. And the only question she asked of this very, very, very sophisticated Dutch colonial walking tour, which was awesome. And we learned all about history. And the only question Jasmine asked is she raised her hand and she said, I wanted to ask you, are these Dutch people, are they the ones that make Dutch masters? And then the guy said, not familiar with Dutch Masters. She was like, oh, I used to use them when I was a kid. And she just used to roll her weed in Dutch Masters, and that's the question we asked. But then she was great, and I took her to Paris, a.k.a. Pret a Manger, and everyone was happy.
Everyone's happy.
She had a night in France and Dutch.
It was a nice international day for her.
She was like, and the country is Dutch. That's what they said.
Yeah, I went to Dutchland.
Yeah. So it was great, and we held hands, and it's a beautiful thing. So beautiful thing. But so this guy, his name was he lines up all the generals of the people that they just defeated, and Genghis Khan says, which one of you pieces of shit shot out my horse?
Yeah.
And most people would say never cop to that, but this one guy, Jeb, very bravely says, Jeb Bush says, it was me. It was me. I shot out the horse, and just stared at Genghis Khan. And instead of killing him, Genghis Khan, again, valuing loyalty and respect, he says, you're a brave man. I'm going to kill every other general, but you're with me now. You're my general.
Yeah.
And he just put him in charge of one of those 10,000 troops. He gave Jeb a whole section of it, and he wound up becoming one of his best generals.
Yeah, one of the great things about Genghis Khan was he was very, very, very smart about the generals that he picked. When military historians look back, they say that was probably his strength. His biggest strength was choosing the right generals to fight for him.
He was, again, like George Washington, who just knew when to retreat and knew when to fight on. He just knew when he was going to lose. And it's just very important. And by the way, we're about 30 minutes into the episode. I just want to take a quick moment to remind you guys I want you to think of 3 things today. I want you to think of 3 things that will help you throughout your day today. First thing, I want you to wake up every day, and I want you to count your blessings. And I want you to be grateful, and I want you to walk through life with gratefulness. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to proclaim your rarity. I want you to know and remember that you are rare. You are one of one. There will never be anyone like you, and there's never been anyone like you. So proclaim your rarity. 3, what I want you to do is always make sure that you go the extra mile. Okay, do a little bit extra today and every day. And these are the 3 rules I want you to live by. I am on the beam.
Every episode we got to give you a beamcast.
Yeah.
That was a quick beamcast.
That was a
beamcast interlude. It has nothing to do with the episode. It's just we want you out there to be on the beam.
Yes, and I also want to say that we confirmed, because we were a little nervous, but Genghis Khan, I am saying it correctly, and Genghis Khan is historically accurate, and we are not making any kind of jokes. We are on the line, but we are on the beam.
We're on the line, on the beam. Also, chiggers, Schmitty is right, is an actual insect. They're called chiggers. What they do is they bite you, and so it is an apt metaphor to call the Mongolians an invasion of chiggers, because stay on the beam. They swarm you and they bite you like that. They swarm you, they overwhelm you. The chiggers sneaky.
Right.
Yeah, they get on you. Jesse said that, thankfully, off the mic.
Off the mic, and it's what it is.
No, Jesse, they don't carry cans.
Yeah, no, that's not.
That's
and you don't
wrong.
find them in your Newport cigarette cards.
You don't. Yeah, they don't eat it as styrofoam. That's bad.
Yeah. Okay, but
they can't run in sandals.
Yeah. So Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
So my guy Genghis Khan, 1206 is a big year.
Big.
Because what happens here in 1206, because Genghis Khan now, I believe, is in his, what year was Genghis Khan born? Can you just scroll up? I want to just make sure I have this right. I think it was like 1162. Genghis Khan.
Year of the dragon.
So Genghis Khan is already 44 years old. But don't forget, here's another thing. Much like Jesus, there's 10 years of Genghis Khan's life that just is not accounted for.
Right.
He's only written about from the Chinese.
Right.
So there's all these years where Genghis Khan is just on the steppe, just prancing around.
What was he doing, you think?
No, I mean, if I had to guess,
playing Sudoku?
If I had to guess, he was probably just bashing skulls, breaking backs, and graping.
That's what he's probably doing in between a little game of Mahjong.
Yeah, it's nice to know that Mongolian society and a lot of societies, you were just allowed to have secondary wives.
You just were. I mean, you just were living out there in the wilderness. These were the White Walkers of the time for the Chinese.
Yeah.
And the Chinese were like, these guys are wild. They keep raiding us. We got to build, again, a great, big, beautiful wall.
Yeah.
To keep them out. That wall was to keep the Mongolians out.
It was.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, could you just do me a favor? Could you go on ChatGPT and just put in 1206 Genghis Khan? Because I want to get some of these names right. Basically, in 1206, it is decided that Genghis Khan will unite all of Mongolia and just be the top Mongolian.
Yeah, the Khan. That was like, I guess it was a Caesar for Mongolians. You know, the Khan is a title.
Right.
So, Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
It's almost like Caesar.
This is a big thing because, the kid born Temujin, whose father gets killed, who's poor, who has to go all through the steppes and the lands and doesn't know where the hell he's going to go and could have wound up becoming an alcoholic playing the OTB. Instead, the kid is going to be the ruler of all Mongolia.
One point, though, it was noted that the kid was kind of maybe addicted to alcohol. The kid liked to drink.
Kid liked to booze a little bit, but you know what? If you're living life on the Mongolian steppe in 1206, you might need a few vegetables.
Especially if you're sitting on the steps. That's what you do, is you move vegetables. That's what happens.
That's what I'm saying. So you're on the steps, aka the neutrals, you're moving a few veggies, and Aunt Eileen's just there for you.
Yeah, and you're actually speaking to your mom, Ho Lun.
Yeah.
Very close to Lynn.
Yeah.
Ho Lun, and you're moving a couple veggies, having a couple Sam Adams, and discussing war plans.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
With Aunt Eileen.
So basically, Genghis Khan is going to become this. There's an event called a Kurultai. A Kurultai, which is basically a kind of, you get all the warlords, you get everybody from Mongolia together in this one place, and Genghis Khan, which that name translates into universal ruler, and this event officially united Mongolia and transformed the region from a group of scattered tribes into a single powerful nation. So 1206 is a big, big year. The reason why Mongolia still exists today, the reason why you're going to eat Mongolian chicken if you're ever at a mall or, somewhere in like downtown Los Angeles, it's because of 1206.
Yeah, when 1206 happened, the Chinese said, oh boy, we're in trouble.
Right.
We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Fucking, they unified those tribes that, they weren't that much of a threat because they were tribes. Now they're one. And boy, they're about to storm that wall.
Yes, and this is where this Mongolian Empire is really born. The Genghis Khan you've read about, you've learned about, you've seen at night at the museum with Ben Stiller, it all happens 1206, and this is where he gets wild.
Yeah. He gets wild, and he's one of the first things he does is he looks at that wall, and he says, we're going over it.
He goes over it.
And so what happens is they just pick one spot of the wall,
right,
and they just go over it, and the Chinese are like, what was the point of this wall?
Yeah.
I mean, the wall did not work.
It just doesn't work.
It didn't work.
It's just a wall.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to be right back after this quick break with Yannis's notes, because I only watched the first 3 episodes of that Hulu documentary. I just copied and pasted from it. Because you know me, and the one thing that I love more, or as much as the United States, America, is a rock hard cock.
Yeah, and I also know that Debo likes to take Blue Chew.
He likes it.
Patty likes Blue Chew.
Blue Chew is sponsoring this episode, and we appreciate it. I want you to have better sex with Blue Chew. They're chewable tablets for better sex, because a lot of you guys out there can't swallow.
Yeah, that's right. Blue Chew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That's the mission. That's what they're all about, is making you hard.
And the Blue Chew tablets are made right here in the USA. So you got red, white, and blue boners. And like I've told you, you guys have been sending me pictures of your rock hard cocks to my DM. And I'm telling you, I know which ones are Blue Chew cocks and which ones aren't.
So make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners exclusively. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the promo code Hyenas, Hyenas. Just pay $5 shipping. That's it. That's promo code Hyenas. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And as always, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the History Hyenas. Because let me tell you something. You know how I do it. I grow my beard and then I shave it. And you know what I shave it with?
What?
Harry's.
Because you're shaved right now. You got a hairy face right now.
I actually love Harry's, because Harry's takes your hairy face and it makes it nice and clean.
And Harry's just a fun name. I like a guy named Harry.
I love a guy named Harry.
You know what I like about Harry too? The prices are no joke. They got nice prices. Right now you get a $10 trial set for just $5 at harrys.com/history hyenas. That's an exclusive offer just for our listeners.
Yes.
I like that.
And look, it's a quality product. It is a nice razor. You can get the replaceable razors. It's very nice. I use Harry's personally. I like it.
Do you know why the blades are so good?
Why?
Because they're made in Germany.
Oh, well, then you know.
Then you know it's just top tier.
It's top tier engineering. That's how you know.
They're in that factory, German factory. They're making those blades and assless chaps.
Yeah, they're doing it good.
Yeah.
So it's a quality product, German engineered blades, customizable delivery options for scheduled refills as low as $2, half what you pay for other big brands. That's why so many people love Harry's, because you got to keep refilling, and they just send it to you for $2. Yeah.
Get the shaving products that always deliver. Get Harry's. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $5 at harrys.com/historyhyenas. That is our exclusive link, harrys.com/historyhyenas for a $5 trial set.
Good deal.
Yeah, pull up the Squeak of the Week. While Yannis is getting his notes, I just want to show you that we used to do a bit where we would have Squeak of the Week. We would have my friend Debo come on and just tell us who his Squeak of the Week is, because he's a 5'3" kid. But we found Jesse actually found a fun Squeak of the Week, and when we find him, we're going to bring him back, and here it is. We're looking at him. This is a tweet from Tara Bull, and this is our Squeak of the Week, and this is Jamukwa.
Look at this kid.
Yeah, this kid's just a squeak.
He's a jack.
He's
jacked. Look at that kid.
Yeah.
That's basically what, if he was on horseback, that's basically what the Mongols look like.
Mongolians look like. They're small kids, jack kids that will just hit you with a couple of bows and arrows. And it's just what it is. He'll bang out your wife.
Yeah.
So this is our Squeak of the Week. Thank you, Tara Bull 808.
Yeah.
All right, so now, because you know what it is too, cuz, is with the Mongolians is, a lot of times in history class, we really only get taught like European history, but this Asian history is so fascinating, and these people did just as great things as the Europeans. It's just they're not as talked about because we don't really learn history from the Asian mindset. We learn it from the European mindset, which is it's not cute.
Yeah. Genghis
Because the way that I've studied the Jew, you need to study the Asian, and then we'll be unstoppable.
Because they're very good at compartmentalizing.
If you literally can study the Asian like I've studied the Jew, we will be King Chigger.
Yeah.
Wei
Genghis Khan had a few great quotes that he's known for. One of them was, if you're afraid, don't do it. If you're doing it, don't be afraid.
Nice.
So in other words,
say it again.
If you're afraid, don't do it. All right, you're afraid, don't do it, right? And it's a warning sign. But if you're doing it, don't be afraid.
Like it.
Yeah. Just, live with your choice.
It's basically, it goes the same way as Gary Vee said. There's no right decisions. There's no wrong decisions. There's just decisions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Remember the 3 things to live by today. Wake up every day and be grateful. Count your blessings. Proclaim your rarity. There's only one copy of you. And then make sure that you're always going the extra mile.
Yeah, and his name was Genghis Khan, so you could call his soldiers, if you wanted to, Chingers.
You could.
They're Chingers.
Right.
Right? So I wasn't that off by the Chiggerbug because, his name was Genghis Khan. So they were following him. The great thing about his rule, right, which was not long, right, because he gave his son some power.
Yeah.
They were basically Uday and Kusei, and they messed it up, right?
Yeah.
But his grandson carried on his legacy for a little while. But the Mongolian Empire was very short. But what they did do that was
like Mongolians in general were just very short.
Basically.
Yeah.
So basically, they started by conquering the Jin dynasty in northern China. They used psychological warfare, siege tactics. They took city after city, famously or infamously, depending on whose side you were on, massacring tens of thousands.
Yeah.
They were brutal. They introduced gunpowder siege weapons because they would hire Chinese engineers to help them. So they would evolve as they went.
Right.
Because all they were was guys on horseback with bows and arrows made out of like animal bone. Right? And then they started using Chinese weapons. The Chinese had gunpowder.
Right.
And so just to fast forward a little bit, one of, I guess, you can't make omelets without breaking eggs type of thinking is one of the great things that was a consequence of Genghis Khan's empire was that this is what bridged the East and the West via the famous Silk Road.
Silk Road.
Now, Genghis Khan was notorious for being nice to merchants and big on trade.
Okay.
Right? So he was big on trade. He was big on meritocracy. He would conquer the places. He let people keep their religions. He took people based on their skill and he put them in certain places based on their skill. If you were loyal to him, if you gave up without a fight, he spared everyone, right? But if you put up a resistance, he massacred. And he let a few survivors go just so they could spread fear.
I kind of like his thinking, though.
Yeah, he was kind of a master of psychological warfare that way, but he always protected the Silk Road. There was this expression that you could go from one end of the Silk Road to the other end of the Silk Road carrying gold, and nobody would rob you.
because he knew that if you mess with that, it's like why the cartel members in Mexico don't kill random American tourists, because they're like, we need them to buy the coke.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just a very safe transit route.
Got it.
So he climbs over the wall, he kills all the Chinese, he conquers them. Then he goes to Central Asia. He conquers the Asia. He conquers the Schwarmezian Empire.
Because I want some shawarma.
He kills them. He conquers all the way up to Russia, Eastern Europe. He kills them. They reached all the way to Poland, Hungary, nearly Vienna. I mean, this was huge.
Biggest empire, more land than anyone.
Dude, like the size of the continent of
They
Africa.
start crushing the Europeans.
Yeah, they get all the way to the Middle East. He didn't live to conquer Baghdad, but his successors did. His grandson, Hulaga Khan, destroyed the Abbasid Caliphate in 1258.
Right.
So, Christians were probably happy about that. Yeah. War makes for strange bedfellows. They were probably like, okay.
Yeah. We don't mind that one.
Yeah, you took out one of the guys we don't like.
Yeah, don't touch Austria, but like you can do whatever you want with that.
Yeah. So he, on one of his final sieges, he falls off his horse. The kid fell off his horse.
Pulled a Christopher Reeves.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves did when he was 62, and he fell off his horse. And I think he lived for a little while after that, but he was never the same. Yeah. He was never the same. And then he was died, and he was buried in a secret tomb because the Mongols had this, tradition where they didn't want anyone to mess with the graves.
Right.
So they'd put you in a secret tomb. They'd put you in the ground with a bunch of slaves. They'd mix everything up, animals, everything. Then they'd cover it up, and then the horses would stampede over it.
Right.
So it just covers it all up and makes it unmarkable.
So we don't really know where his body is.
And then supposedly the rumor is that everyone that attended the funeral was executed, so nobody could talk about where he was buried.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, so that's just how they did things.
The kid just didn't play games.
They just didn't play games. That society didn't play games. So the Mongol Empire ended up stretching from Korea to Hungary, from Siberia to the Persian Gulf. And historians call it a Pax Mongolica. So there was some unified these places, and there was a little bit of a peace, supposedly.
Right.
It's another, the most famous Pax is the Pax Romana, which was under Roman law. Everyone was chill. Everything was cool. There was a Pax Romana. But I think this was probably a little different.
Right.
It was a little different than the Pax. Although the Romans were brutal too. I think I'd rather live under the Pax Romana than the Pax Mongolia, because if you stepped out of line, your head was getting cut off and you were getting boiled like a chicken.
It's just what it is.
That's just what happened.
Who do you think wins in a fight? The best Mongolian warriors versus the best Greek Spartans. Who wins in a fight?
Spartans really could hold it down. That's a tough one. That's a good question.
Because the Spartans will be able to kill you with a little bit of cum dripping out of their butt.
That's... I think that's what gave him,
right?
I think that's what gave him secret powers, because when you inject a little protein, there's protein in the sperm into your butt. It's like a rocket that shoots you off in a battle. They were fueled up.
Yeah.
They were fueled up and charged up and ready to go and fully confirmed.
That's what it is.
You don't want to fight fully confirmed warriors in dresses, because the Greeks used to fight in dresses, which was another brilliant strategy, because let me tell you something. You're an enemy, right? You're an enemy, right? Fighting the Spartans. You're Persia, right? You're King Darius.
Right.
You're sitting there, your eunuchs are blowing you, whatever. You got your boy slaves, whatever. And then you just see 400 chicks coming over the hill because they're far away. So you're not threatened. You know, there's 400 boys. And so the guys get ready. They're like, oh, we're going to a fucking prom or something. And then you get close and all these dudes got fucking facial hair and thick eyebrows.
Yeah.
And then they start cutting off your peckers and fucking your women, cuz.
It's what it is.
It was the biggest bait and switch in history.
I like it.
You're like, who's these chicks in dresses? And it was dudes.
It was dudes. Yeah, they would just reel you in, and it was nice. And I like that we were doing really well, getting everything history. There's probably a history teacher right now that just had to turn this podcast off for his class immediately because we said, come in the butt and chick with dicks. But that's the hyena part of the history.
Because it was estimated that 40 million people died from Mongolian invasions.
That's wild.
That's more than COVID.
That's like a day in Stalin's life.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
At its height, The Mongol Empire covered 12 million square miles, and of course, everyone knows the kid fucked everything. So one of the things his people would always, whatever they conquered, they would just take all the hot women and bring them to Genghis Khan, and he would line them up and he would bang them all. So
That's I mean, the kid did not need a blue chew.
no, he had needed no blue chew. His kid got hard.
Got hard as a rock.
Yeah, they didn't even have Blue Chew back then. This kid was fucking hard.
Yeah.
And there is a famous 2003 study that found that 8% of men in Central Asia carry a Y chromosome tracing back to him. My only thing is, how can they trace it back to him if they don't even have his body? How do they know that? I'm sure there's some way that they know that.
Or these studies can just say that, and then how would we know the difference?
We don't know. I mean, what we're basically saying is what we do know is that the kid did make a lot of wine.
It's just what
He
it is.
squashed a lot of grapes.
Unfortunately, he did.
He did. He was a
Yeah.
big time graper.
Yeah, it's just what it is. He was a connoisseur, and it's just... And
You could say the kid had his own vineyard.
he had his own vineyard, and it's just a part of antiquity that's just real, that just people would just do that. And by the way, the new term that we have that where Yannis said we're confirmed, it's just if you are, we'll say it very simply, we're not going to obviously use any slurs or anything like that, but if you are a man who has sex with men, you're confirmed.
Yes.
You just confirmed.
You're
And there are
confirmed.
other things you can do to be confirmed, like Yannis went out with his family this weekend, and he ordered a raspberry sorbet. Confirmed.
Confirmed, yeah.
That's something that's confirmed.
You know what was funny about that is he texted me and I sent him a picture of where I was at, and he goes, "Now, did you order a raspberry sorbet there? Because if you do, you're confirmed." And I actually had, and so I took a picture of the cup, with the residue of the raspberry just to prove it. And I was like, "How did you know that?" I almost got paranoid for a second. Thought you had a camera on.
Yeah, cause I always do, and I always have.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because it's just a confirmed type of thing, because you're a sorbet sherbet raspberry kid, because you're confirmed.
Yeah. So this guy's interesting because, that place is interesting. Now it's like Azerbaijan, it's Mongolia.
It's Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, but actually there still is a nation of Mongolia.
Yeah, it's a nation of Mongolia now. But over there, it's very funny because, like, the whites turn Asian, the Asians turn whites,
Right.
then you walk a little south and they turn a little browner. That whole region is just...
Afghanistan,
they're like whitey, Asian-y looking-y. And then if you look at the Finnish, it was a mixture of like the Germanic tribes and the Asian tribes, probably Mongolian or whatever, mixing.
weird.
So they look like white Asians.
Right.
It's just then you got the Rus people, the Muscovites, which is Moscow's named after.
Yeah.
They were like a tribe. And the Rus people, which became Russia, they were like a tribe. And, you go to Russia, a lot, there's like Russian Asians.
Yes.
Which is wild.
They'll get banged out
And
too.
yeah, and so you're like, that whole thing is like a mixed pot of Middle Easterners, Asians, and whites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jess, can you go back to because there was one thing I wanted to talk about too. Just, get that out. This is good. So this is one thing they did. They actually had a legal and administrative system. Now, it's called the Yasa Code, but we'll call it the Yasa Code. Genghis Khan implemented a system of laws known as Yasa, which it wasn't fully preserved, but it emphasized order, discipline, and unity. And this early legal codification influenced later legal traditions. The Mongols also developed detailed administrative systems, including censuses, postal systems, and taxation methods that inspired many state governance things we still have today. So the Mongolians were smart kids.
Yeah, and I forgot about the Turkic tribe.
Tell us about
that.
them.
Those are the ones that became the Ottomans. So Genghis Khan took control of them too, but then later on, after the Mongolian Empire crumbled, guess what came up?
What?
Ottoman. So after that, the Ottomans rose to power, took control of that whole fucking area. So the whites always win.
The whites always win. But
But
you as a Greek must like the fact that Genghis Khan was able to beat back the Turks a little bit. That makes you feel nice.
Yeah, they weren't our enemy yet, but looking back in retrospect, it was a little nice, And unfortunately, I got grape genes. It's what it is. We talked about it, I think, on Stavi's podcast.
Yeah.
I have Anatolian genes, Turkic probably in me. But yeah, Turkish people come from a tribe called Turkic. They were, but they looked whitish.
Yeah.
They were kind of whitish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were one of those tribes in there in East Asia.
Unfortunately, your blood is grape juice.
It's grape juice.
Nothing you could do.
It's what it is. And this is the story of the conquering of the Eurasian steppe. Do they call them steeps or steppes?
I call them steps because the neutrals.
Yeah.
But I do love what you said, that he promoted based on talent and loyalty rather than birth, freaking DEI. He was not about DEI.
He was all about meritocracy.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit what you were as long as you were good at it.
Yeah, he was really a Republican Republican kid.
He just
pull
was.
yourself up by your own bootstraps and make something of yourself.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And he's got some really great famous quotes, though.
Give me a
Some of
couple
them are
more.
scary.
The first one I like. Tell us the first one again.
The first-
if you're scared, don't do it.
If you're
you're
scared-
doing it, don't be scared.
Yeah, if you're...
Add that to the fourth thing that you should do every day in your life and repeat on mantras.
does that keep you on the beam?
That keeps me on the beat.
Okay, so he said a few great quotes that you guys will like was, the greatest happiness is to scatter your enemy, to drive him before you, to see his cities reduced to ashes.
Yeah.
So the kid,
Makes it feel nice.
it makes him feel nice. For him, that was like looking at a sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, or for my dad liked to stare at trees. He just liked to look at a city besieged.
Yeah, you like
burning.
just women, children, and people screaming.
Yeah, he just liked that.
Yeah.
And here's my favorite one. This is really like a vicious. This is like Pulp Fiction, where he recites that Bible verse, "I will strike down upon thee." Look at what this kid said. And that was another thing, is he said he claimed that he had deity in him. Like he was
Yeah,
one
it
of
was a
those
god,
guys.
Napoleon
Yeah,
and Jesus.
Yeah. So he goes, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you."
Wow.
The kid was not there to make friends.
Yeah, what the kid had was a bit of a leaky
He's
room.
a fucking leaky room.
He thought he was God's like hell angel on earth.
Yeah.
He had a leaky room.
Yeah. He said an action committed in anger is an action doomed to failure. So he always said keep calm and stay on the beam as well.
That's what it is.
So he's like burn and pillage, but do it on the beam.
Do it on the beam. Just, box breathe.
Yeah, box breathe. And
Great.
he said, this just gives you insight into his character. A man's greatest joy is crushing his enemies.
Yeah.
So he's Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
Without the vision of a goal, a man cannot manage his own life, much less the lives of others. So this guy was goal oriented.
Yes.
Yeah, he was set up little goals and he achieved them.
Yeah, and he achieved that, and that's what it is. He did it step by step.
Step by step,
Literally.
steep by steep.
He did it steep by steep. He's not trying to do it all at once.
Yes.
He's getting 1% better.
And that's the way of the chiggers.
Yes.
And he said, that's what they do. They bite you once at a time. Now, he said, a single arrow is easy. Now, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Yes.
This is about cooperation, which he was big on. That's why he got the help of the different tribes and everything. He said, a single arrow is easily broken,
Right.
but not 10 in a bundle. So if you hold 10, you can't break it. So
Right.
we're stronger together.
Yeah.
We're stronger together.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. Me and you found that out when we broke up.
Yeah, it's just what it is. We're just stronger together. We're 10 in a bunch, and now what we like to do is bundle them up and sit on them.
Yeah. And then he also said, people conquered on different sides of the lake should be ruled on different sides of the lake.
Wait, what? Say it again.
People conquered on different sides of the lake should be ruled on different sides of the lake.
What does he mean by
he's
that?
basically respecting diversity, meaning like if I conquer this guy over here and they're Turkic, and I conquer these people over here and they're laser beams.
Right.
So I conquer these Eastern Hemis, the Chinese. I conquer these laser beams over here.
Right.
I conquer these Sandra D's over here.
Right.
I'm going to rule them as Sandra D's. I'm going to let them be Sandra
Got
D's.
it.
It's less problems.
Right.
Right.
I'm not going to try to make them all just.
I'm not going to make them all Mongolian. I'm just going to rule them, and they'll let them be Sandra D's.
Got it.
They keep their
Respect it.
religions with the many
Respect
gods.
it.
You know, Akash can live. As
100%.
long as he works for me, it's fine.
That's it.
Yeah.
As long as he keeps slapping that knee.
So those are some of his great quotes. He was very.
Drop my pen.
You dropped your pen. But, you know, historians basically say that without Genghis Khan, we would have never got gunpowder, right?
My pen's by you.
Paper.
Get my pen. It's by your chair.
We got paper. Now it's over by you.
Okay.
We got paper, gunpowder, the Silk Road
From the
opened up.
Mongolians?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought gunpowder was in the Chinese.
Yeah, but that's the trade route.
Got it.
Yes. It all because of the Silk Road.
What the Silk Road was, you
Yeah.
want to know what it really was? It was a
Yeah.
5,000-mile long safe space.
Yeah, it was totally safe. It was really, he was basically nice to merchants. He was very protective of merchants.
I like
So
that.
basically, he was one of the first people who was nice to Jews.
Right.
Right?
It's nice.
I mean, who are the merchants, right?
Mostly Jewish people,
Mostly
yeah.
Jews, probably
Frisbees,
even going
yeah.
back to them. So it was a vast network, the Silk Road.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a single road. It connected China to the Mediterranean, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, technologies, and cultures. And that's what helped us evolve in the Western Hemisphere so we could eventually go back and conquer them
It's what it is.
in some nice, sweet opium wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they could get some nice stuff from us.
Yeah.
Like warring ways.
Very nice.
Yeah. So everyone won.
Everybody
it's a
wins.
win-win, except for the 40 million people who disappeared off the planet.
Unfortunately, that's just what happens.
That's
sometimes.
just how it happens in history.
It's how the cookie crumbles. All right.
It's a cookie smash on the floor.
Now, of course, we're going to keep going at patreon.com/history hyenas. Bonus episodes up there. Continuation maybe of some of this. And we got wild stuff to say out there. As always, the newest members of the Matriarchy's names will be read out at the end of every episode. So right now we want to welcome the new people. And the best name wins PPW Pseudo Penis of the Week. So welcome to the Matriarchy, Josh. Then we got biggest... Okay,
You got walked into one? Can you?
I don't know, though, if I have.
You walked into one.
Way Song Xian.
Oh, because I didn't say the nipples. Okay,
Yeah,
walked
you
into
walked
one.
into one.
Okay. Okay, here we go. How could it be or bottleneck?
So you walked into one. You walked into one, but it's they're creative. It's a walk. That one gets the walked into one award.
Yeah.
He's basically saying it was. So how could you get them all in there? Yeah, efficiently.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Not good. Okay, Seth Carter. Then we got Jose Menendez was a hell of a balls player. Okay.
Put him on the list. Yeah.
Okay. Patrick Malone, Puerto Rican Mohican, Ass Man, What Up Sweezy, Brian Schultz, William Papadoulis. 1, 2. Out the floor.
Ladder 14.
Ladder 14 walked into one. The floor. Yeah, okay.
Because they're under the floorboards, guys.
Yeah.
They're hiding.
Yeah. JD was Francis's final fissure fuck. Okay. Sauce Monkey Peace stretching out my fertile wife's. Okay. Sauce Monkey Peace stretching out my fertile wife's salsa cavernous loques. Salsa cave.
Salsa Cave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
it's
mean,
too long.
It's a long one, but it's
Bad
a good
read,
one.
yeah.
Salsa Cave is good for you got a Hispanic wife and you calling her vagina Salsa Cave is very funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Julia Weiss. Then we got out in Brooklyn looking for out in Brooklyn looking for Twinko Pinkos to plumb my stinko.
Hey,
Okay.
the kid's out there hunting for gay sex.
Gay kid.
Yeah.
Morgan Dunn, Dan Whitehorse, Logan LaChapelle, Andrew Peterson, Tom Sutton, Adam Piccioni, Barnabas Abrams. Burst my girl's spleen with my peen while yelling ladder 14.
I love it. I'm going to put him on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. I like the rhyme scheme.
Father Bill's loophole, a.k.a. low dose Liam.
It's a Drexler.
More inventive Father
Yeah,
Bill one.
yeah,
That's good.
Drexler.
Cam K, glued caboose, pop screws loose, unlike top the Jews use.
Don't get it.
I don't know.
Top
Sorry.
Jews use?
My Nike SBs record MP3s for the CCP. Thanks, Bobby Ree.
Bobby Ree. Funny.
Andre Boucher, Isaiah, Wallace Footman, Joel Olstein's eunuch.
You know he's got one.
Yeah.
Chicken finger.
Lee Plush, Uncut and What Still Needs a Suck. Jordan Levy, Red Bio for History Hyena's name. Aaron, Idris Ashy Albus. Okay.
Idris. He's ashy.
Okay. I don't know.
Right.
Erica Dawn, Slamming Tooths with Saddam's glue gun. I'm him. Okay. Jason House, Seth Luce, Invisible 5'2" in a shoe. Adam Westhoff, Gutter Trash Hobo, Galatio Ramirez, Munch, JD Just Killed the Pope Vance, Kamala's green and wretched yeast-infected fecal exit, yum.
Jesus.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Joe Legro, Slonkin Doinks, HD3DDY69, Sam McDonald, John Shaw, Subprime Timmy D and his twink, Matthew Ellenberger, Tim Dillon's tonsils full of glue, Mike Panetera, Jimothy, Mountain Man DYL, Carlos Spicy Wiener, Connor Longo. I started a band with some leaky roofs and Franks and Beans. Call us mentally guttarded.
I like it.
Guttarded.
Guttarded. I like it. I'm going to give that a Drexler.
Drexler.
Yeah.
Braden Gayer, Arush Alali, Tyler Cully, Ritz crackers and foreskin cheese, Israel's #1 imports.
Wei Song Xian.
That's gross.
Gross. Tom Vadnas, J.D. Barton Construction, a Frisbee on a heavy dose of Lexapro because I'm off the beam because we killed Jesus.
I would put him on the list. That's funny, yeah.
Like that. Nicholas Connors, Jesus Rivera, Ryan Leclerc, Dan Pat, Andre Canteras, Lars Beckham, Chaz, Taste Abs, Joseph LaRusso, some name in Greek, Elvi, Auto Nav Elvi, or Jewish, Pamela Gonzalez, Cutie with the Gluey Smoothie, Heba Miftal Dressy, Chrissy D's Jockstrap, Jay, Ricardo Akala, Cracking Cold Ones, Cleaning Out Eskimos.
Okay. The kid's up there doing his work in Alaska.
What do you do? Jason Allen DeCruz, make no mistake, Epstein's roof almost made a make no mistake, Epstein's roof almost made a lake. So they're saying the kid had a leaky roof.
Kid had a leaky roof.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sergio Chacon, butt chugs Patron to take trannies home.
Put him on the list.
Best. Oh, can't say that.
Walked into one.
Yeah. Nope, can't say that. Darren Krikorian, door, can't. Frisbee champ. Okay, walked into one. Denise Landman, tattooed a barcode on my ass so Chrissy D could scan it with the Yuka app. # salad shooter glued in my pooter.
Put him on the list.
All right, on the list.
Put him on the list.
Very funny.
Guy's creative.
Yeah. Ralph J. Morales, Jackson Frankel, Adam Darrow. Bush did the Brooklyn bombings.
Okay.
RFK trying to cure it's just what it is, cuz. Peace so crooked I call it Hillary.
Put him on the list. Chicken finger on the list.
Handheld history. Benjamin B. Royston. Sidney Sweeney's tits could never be that big under communism. It's what it is.
Put him on the list. Funny.
Luke Philando, Christian, Billy Bob Joe Tuck, Retardo Chromo. Okay.
Walked into one.
Yeah. Reen Brisbane, praying on Little St. James made me a believer. Daniel Curtin, J. Holtz 123, Brett McIntosh, Demetrius McBagel, Deputy Archivist of the Staten Island Ferry Museum, Tyler Costanzo, used to date a Muzzy, now she hates America, Goldie Kendra Cook, Liberal Cluck, powered by Big Black Bacawk, Lucky 33Y7, when you're sick of skin flute and you're knocking the boot with a toot who is cute and has sploosh in your chute, that's a fumade.
Okay.
Huey Glewis and the Jews.
We had that.
Yep. Tess Kazaza, Anthony Joshua Williams, Stephen Fisher, Newham Jew 14, Tony Hinchcliffe is my mother, Griffin Dankel, Christopher Kirby, James B., Rob, Bob, Allie Blevins, live from the tub, it's Yanni Close Eyes,
Okay.
Colton Smith, Abby Shapiro's Milkers make my frisbee spin, Jakers, Freddie, Chris Tucker, Back Carlson.
We had something like that.
Yeah. The Pope is dead, so is the Catholic Church. Chris Castro, Uncle Nam.
Whoa.
Okay. Call your therapist.
Yeah. I'm in Drexler that, though. Funny.
Jonathan Stump, Pooh Fist, Adriana Blasek, Eric, Timothy Rumble, Alexander Kundevsky, Mitch Gordon, Connor Protz, Dushan Eberhardt, David Buis, Michael Rice, Donald Miller, Alex L. My fuzzy cuzzy was a muzzy, but ate my pork anyway. Christian Hester. Nice.
Yeah, it's good with Drexler.
Carter, Connor Macaron, Sean Powell, Ethan Roosh, Alex Rios, Benjamin Netanyahu Shots, Kosher Chocolate Glue Glue, Carolina Crazy, Colton B, Jonathan Allen, Microwave Sushi, Mushu. Okay, one more page. Meggie D.
Microwave sushi was callback
in the bento box. Yeah. Joe Mackey, Lucci, Samuel Moore, Chris Castro, Uncle Namin, Peen made me scream. Oh, this is a second one. Uncle Jesus Christ, a.k.a. the ultimate Frisbee.
Very funny. That's a chicken finger.
Yeah. Alexander Kundevsky, Mitch Gordon, Father Bill is friendly with my present. Nice. I like that. That's funny.
That. Yeah, just stay on the beam.
Dushan Eberhardt, David Buis, Michael Rice, half Leroy, half Juanita. Walked
into one. Sometimes you go in a bad neighborhood, you got to back out.
Yeah. Alex L, Romanian cam girl, AK no fumes through Zooms.
List.
Christian Hester, Carter, Connor Macarone, Sean Powell, Ethan Roosh, Alex Rios, Kentucky Derby, a.k.a. Quick Chitch.
Got
Switch-
you. Walked into
shit.
one. Walked into one.
Shit.
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby winner, Run, a.k.a. Quick Twitch Leroy.
Yeah, you walked into one.
Damn it. Carolina Crazy, Uncle Russell's Pet Cemetery,
Funny.
Colton B, Jonathan Allen, Cara Fritz, Dan, Cesare Baldamenti, Jasic, Make Non, Not War, a.k.a. Hit Him With a Bath Bomb, Rupees to Your Troubles.
Drexler.
Rachel Bishop, John Glee, Ivan Herrera, Big G, Devin, Iron Gill 20, Brandon Swain, Peter Meisenberger, Jacob Elmont, Straight to the Backdoor Brian.
Straight to the back door. Brian's a nice chicken
Nice
finger.
chicken finger.
Yeah.
Jack Thompson, Devin Painter, Shasar, Zero, BG, Huda, The Fire Alarm Beep in My Girl's Apartment, Daniel Serra, Stephanie Germanata's High School Ex, Burton Ernie were HMOs. It's what it is.
What it is, they were.
Queen Tarifa, Chelsea Likes Her Vinegar's Apple Cider, Benjamin Fearing, Tyrion Man Mac 27, TT Jerry Plugged My Muffler, and then last but not least, The Jizzler. Okay.
The Jizzler.
So not the strongest list.
we got some goodies, though.
But we do got some goodies.
No
That's why
catapults.
always listen.
Yeah.
Because you just never do know. Okay. So a Frisbee on a heavy dose of Lexapro because I'm off the beam because we killed Jesus.
It's very funny. I'm going to Drexler.
Drexler, okay.
Very funny. Any other day guy.
Sergio Chacon, Butt Chugs, Patron to take trannies home.
We're going to keep that
Keep
as a
that.
contender.
That's it?
Yeah.
Tattooed a barcode on my ass so Chrissy D could scan it with the Yuka app. Hashtag salad shooter. He glued in my pooter.
We're going to keep that.
Okay. Piece so crooked I call it Hillary.
We're going to keep that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney's tits can never be that big under communism. It's what it is.
Funny, but I'm going to Drexler it.
Okay, she
Yeah.
does have absolute.
She's got
muscle.
fucking knockers.
Yeah, I like. Okay, and the pen ran out of ink.
She's got
It's what
fun bags.
this pen just ran out of ink. God damn it. Okay, that's fine.
Pencil right there.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. It's what it is. Perfect. Okay, she got that. Then we got Jose Menendez was a hell of a balls player.
We're going to Drexler it.
Drexler.
Any other day.
Okay. Burst my girl's spleen with my peen while yelling loud at 14.
Very funny Drexler.
Drexler. Okay. So this one's out. Romanian cam girl, aka no fumes through Zooms.
We're going to keep that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
We always do this right.
Okay, so we got Sergio Chacon, Butt Chugs, Patron to take trannies home. Tattooed a barcode on my ass so Chrissy D could scan it with the Yuka app. Piece so crooked I call it Hillary. Or Romanian cam girl, aka no fumes through Zooms.
I'm in a chicken finger kind of mood. I like chicken fingers. So what we're going to do is we're going to Yuka app. It was a little long. Even you just abbreviated
it, yeah.
If you would have ended there, I think it could have been the winner. But we're going to Drexler that.
Ryan.
Sergio,
Butt Chugs, Patron to take trannies home.
it's so good. But I love Crooked Hillary. And the other one, what was the other one?
Piece so crooked I call it Hillary. And then Romanian cam girl, aka no fumes through Zooms.
Those are two good chicken
What do we
fingers.
got?
Or the Sergio. Where are you leaning?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Sergio for sure,
Where
yeah.
are you leaning? Are you in a chicken finger mood or are you more in a fine dining mood?
I just like, because Sergio, we've had some stuff with Sergio. Piece so crooked I call it Hillary. That's, it's funny, but Hillary, it's a bit of an old joke. No fumes through Zooms by itself would win.
And Romanian cam girl, we just did an
The
episode.
Romanian kid, to me, that's what I would go
original.
for.
We're going with the Romanian cam
That's
girl.
it.
Yeah.
You're the winner, Romanian cam girl, aka no fumes through Zooms. Tell your friends you can see your stuff up at see your name up at historyhyenasisback.com. Lucky winner. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. We are here for you every Thursday, 11 a.m. at youtube.com/historyhyenas. And the bonus episodes are at patreon.com/historyhyenas, where we're going to be continuing right now.
Premieres at 10 a.m. Eastern.